Hey folks, welcome to this breakdown of UFC 253's knockout. That was Adesanya versus Costa. Israel Adesanya knocked out Paulo Costa in what was an anticipated fight. I'm going to break down this fight a little bit, just the knockout part. Now, before I go on, two things. First, check out the podcast. MMA Formula is now available in podcast. Links in the show notes. And as always, I'm going to do a more in-depth breakdown of this fight over at my Patreon. That's patreon.com/MMA Formula. So check that stuff out as well. And you will find a lot more on this fight that I have to say, because I think it was a really interesting fight. Anyway, a couple of things. So Costa had trouble getting forward, getting close to Adesanya the whole fight, because Adesanya's footwork is really good. I want you to pay attention on the left foot of Izzy. What he's going to do, he's going to step forward, right? So watch that left foot is going to land here. This is the moment he lands. He's going to basically post here on that left leg so that he stops his forward momentum, so he doesn't lose his balance as he comes closer, because he's making Adesanya miss. He's inviting that jab in, he's inviting that punch in, and notice what happens as Costa takes the bait is he slips. He just slips off to the side very easily. Notice the position of his lead leg here. He's still hardly moved with it. So we're going to bring it back. So this is the point where he steps, the left leg touches the floor. Now notice that he posts here. I want you to watch his leg as his head goes off to the side. See what happens. There's hardly any movement, right? He's stabilizing, he's staying in balance. There's a little bit of a bend to it, but not all that much. He stays in balance, and that allows him to throw that right hand over the jab. Now, it doesn't land perfectly, right? It doesn't land perfectly, but what it does do is Costa throws a jab, and he's going to hook off the jab here right after. So watch both their arms as we go to the next frames. See that Izzy's going to do that right hook that kind of gets blocked by the shoulder, and here Costa is going to go for that left hook himself, right? See what happens now. Because of the way their arms seem to connect, so you've got Costa's arm that is here, and you've got Izzy's arm that is about like this. So they look to be in contact, and the circular movement here of Costa's hook, and then we have Izzy's hook here. So what ends up happening is that the left hook by Apollo goes wide. And when I say wide, I mean totally out of position, right? So you can see here, he's completely out of position. So what does that mean? We can see that Izzy is in a good position. He's got both weapons trained and trailing, right at Costa. Whatever he wants to do with either left or right hand is going to land. The right hand is retracting, so it makes sense that he's going to fire off that left hand. If he goes low, it lands. He goes high, it lands. So Paulo is completely out of position. His left hand, if he wants to block or cover, he has to bring it up all the way over there towards the head. He's got no time because that left hand is going to come in, right? His right hand, which is over here, is virtually useless. So it's over here blocking the right side, but the right side is not in danger. It's not going to be under attack. So whatever he does with that, it's not going to block anything. He cannot even reach across with that right hand from this position to protect his left side. So that's not going to help either. The only thing he could do is potentially, and I'm saying potentially, lift up that left shoulder a little bit to hunch down behind it. But as he's finishing with missing with that left hook, he doesn't have the time for that either. So he's kind of he's screwed, man. I mean, he's just screwed. He's out of position. And with a guy like Adesanya, you can't allow that to happen. So is he going to counter rotate? He's going to rotate towards his right as he throws the left hook here. Now, for Paulo to get back into position, he has to rotate towards his left. Again, he doesn't have time. So I want you to watch what happens with Izzy's left hand, and you can watch what happens with Costa's body at the same time. See, Costa is going to try to recover a little bit, but he just doesn't have the time. See the hooks coming in. You see Costa tries to turn a little bit into it, and he's retracting that left hand. He doesn't have the time, right? And this is where the impact lands. So this is temple area, ear area, and afterwards, I mean, he just goes down and he's flash knocked down on the ground, and Izzy could finish it off easily. So that's one thing. And a quick bonus, this is one of the things that Izzy does. I want you, a lot of people talk about, his leaning back left hook, or, you could call, some people talk about the check hook. I'm not going to get into that. The point what I want you to see is this. What Izzy is really good at is that he creates this circle that he can stay outside of, right? So with his upper body, he can lean forward, back, and so on to stay out of that circle, but at the same time, he can lean into this off-angle position, where he's leaning into what we call empty space, sort of the direction in which his feet aren't, where normally people lose their balance. Because he's so flexible, he's got really long arms, he's really tall, he's got good balance, good technique, and so on. He can hit from these off balanced positions. That's what he did to Robert Whittaker, and he's doing something similar here, though here it's a little bit more linear. So you do not want to be over here in this space when he starts leaning away from you, because he can still hit you with either left or right hand as he rotates around that imaginary circle. So that's a quick breakdown. So like I mentioned, I am going to talk more in depth about this fight on the Patreon, because it's a really interesting fight. There was a lot of very cool stuff that Adesanya did in it that a lot of people are missing out on. He's an expert striker. I'm going to be very, very intrigued by whoever he's going to fight next, see if he can keep that going. I pretty much suspect he will. Costa, hopefully he comes back, and hopefully we can see a rematch. I'd love to see that. But Costa takes some lessons that he can learn from this first fight and then keep going. Right, guys, that's it. As always, thank you for watching. Again, support. You can do that on Patreon, like, share, subscribe, all those things, and check out the podcast at the same time. Okay, take care.